Hey everyone, welcome to today's vlog in far northern Maine. Today is April 23rd, 2025. Temperature outside is 55 degrees or about 12 degrees Celsius. We haven't had a freeze in a couple of nights. A couple of nights ago, my first night out here on the logging roads, it got down to, I think, 18 Fahrenheit or about -8 or 9 Celsius. That was a pretty good night. I don't mind that. I love sleeping in the cold. I prefer that over it being hot. If it's above 60 degrees outside or 15 Celsius, I just can't fall asleep. Because the inside, it gets hot in here just breathing, and you can't keep the windows open because there's going to be mosquitoes and no-see-ums coming in. No-see-ums are worse. You can't even put window screen up for them. They can fly right through it. They're so small. That's why they're called no-see-ums. We're definitely needing the four-wheel drive today. In the next half an hour, you're going to see how bad these roads really are this time of year. We are doing first vehicle of the year inspections on these roads. We're marking culvert pipes with blue ribbons if they have water issues, if they're eroded, clogged internally, collapsed. We're also marking areas where the road is flooded out because of a drainage issue. This right here is just puddles. We also gotta be cautious this time of year. The surface of the road could look dry, but we could sink down into mud. Like right now, we're bogging down in the mud really, really bad. These are my tire tracks coming in here. No one else has been on this road probably since October. There's one spot up here I almost got stuck. There's a couple spots I couldn't drive any further. I had to back up and hit it with more speed. There is a few areas where there's still over a foot of snow on the road. This is an unplowed road, which makes it more unpredictable because all this snow is melting into the road. It's called mud season because the ground is still frozen deep under, trapping all the water up top, meaning mud. It cannot drain yet. 2 months ago, there was 5 feet of snow on these roads. It has melted a lot. There was 5 feet of snow packed. The snowmobilers loved this winter. We had a good amount of snow this winter compared to the last couple of years being underperforming winters. Now what you're seeing up here is not a snowbank. What you're seeing is a bunch of snow deposited by a bit of floodwaters coming down this side road. It kind of just pushed the snow into a mound and it hardened. Good thing I got out to inspect it because I thought that would have been soft. That's hard as a rock. If I try driving over that part, I will get stuck on it. It doesn't look like much, but it's protruding up about 2 feet, so we're going to drive through here. And I don't even want to drive straight through there because that's still kind of deep, so we're just going to go around it a little bit. I had just stopped at this exact spot for about an hour. Wanted to catch up on editing. I used to edit all my unclogging videos and inspection videos at the end of the night, but I was always tired, and it's better for me to be editing here and there a couple times a day. I'll take breaks, I'll eat, I'll drink something and edit while I'm doing so. Because today we got up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to keep being on the road until 8 at night. That's about what time it gets dusk this time of year. Then I would typically stay up until midnight editing, and you know, that's not really good to be doing. Those 14, 16-hour days non-stop doing stuff like that. So now I just try to keep everything down to 12 hours because I would just be going to sleep so exhausted. Can't keep up with my pace I used to be doing just a couple of years ago. So we just turned around on this road because the snow got too deep. We were getting into sections that were almost two feet deep, and I would have got stuck, in my opinion. I have a winch. I just don't want to deal with that. It's a pain in the butt if you get stuck in snow because likely you're going to keep getting stuck over and over again. I had that happen last year. I got stuck a dozen times. I've already been stuck twice this spring, but that was in mud. So this right here is why I wanted to come down here. This is a beaver swamp we unclogged about half a dozen times over the past 2 years. And now that the surface of the water's melted, beavers are already active despite it being very cold still. There was a bit of debris in there. The beavers aren't severely building, not quite yet. Oh, we were sinking into a bit of mud right there. Nothing too bad. So the beavers will start being active now, but not really a lot. What I pulled out of there today is what the beavers could achieve in about an hour in the summer, but I bet you they did that over a course of like a week, slowly getting themselves back in, because they don't hibernate, they just slow down when it's cold. But now that this pond surface is done, they're going to start working. They like warm weather, even though they live up here where it's cold. During the thunderstorms or downpours of the summer, that's when they're building the majority of their stuff. They don't hibernate, they just hang out in their lodge. They have a pantry, a stockpile of wood and bark they like to eat, stuck in the mud at the bottom, so they just dive down into their pond. They never have to leave. This is where I almost got stuck, but just like a train, we're following our old tracks, which makes it way easier. The fear of sliding off into the ditch is basically gone because we're able to follow it so nicely. And if we do bog down, I think we'll be able to just simply back up because we're not bottoming out. This right here, see, I swerved a couple of times on my way in. This was the worst part. And we made it. There's no more deep spots. Good, good. I swerved a little bit to the left, a little more than I would have liked, but we did not get stuck. When I got out to inspect that on the way in, I didn't like how the mud was looking there on the left side. It was the right side on the way in, but we made it. That's all that matters. There's a little bit more, but nothing too bad. I see a mile marker coming up. It's only 1 mile back to the next artery. The next artery, they usually don't plow it. They may have plowed it this year. They plowed at least part of it because they were logging. I'm not sure if they plowed all the way up here or not. It's a very wide double lane road, so the sun gets in there a little better to melt it out. You're gonna see, it looks like a whole different climate once we come up here. Now that says mile marker 9, but it's actually 1 in this direction. This is like a 9-mile loop that we were unable to complete because of very, very deep snow. But I'm not upset about that. We'll take this road again in a couple of weeks, and I bet the beavers will have that thing completely plugged up for us. And during that time, we'll make the entire loop. But I've never found another blockage on this road, so it's not a inspection concern at all. Right now, I'm gonna make my way around to the other end of the road because there is something I want to see, but it's right at the other end. So rather than taking like 7 miles of unknown snow-covered roads where I'm probably gonna get stuck, we're gonna go around on open roads over a course of an hour. It's 2 or 3 times as long distance-wise, but the amount of speed we'll be able to do, I think we'll get over there faster than if we got stuck a bunch of times. The other side, it's, I think, within the first mile, so that's a lot better. Park rangers will pick up debris if they see it. Yesterday, there was a low-class individual I picked up after. They left a air purifier. No, that was a couple days ago, actually. They left an air purifier, a Keurig machine, a laundry basket full of children's sandbox toys, and they were in good shape. Some kid would still like to have them, even though some of them were faded. There was a Christmas doormat, a bunch of other garbage I had to pick up. But if you pick up things and put on the side of the road, the park rangers will pick it up because they don't want this stuff in the environment. I'm gonna pick up something right now. Put a little ribbon around that. It's not super noticeable, but you have to be stupid to hit that thing in the first place. It's so big. It was heavy. The corrugation, which is hollow, was full of water. I'm not sure how that broke off so smoothly. It looks like it was cut off and left there. But the rangers will patrol these roads during tourist season because people do get stuck and there's no signal. You're so far out, the CB radio won't work. I tried the CB radio when I was sleeping the past couple of nights. Couldn't find anyone out here. Maybe if I tried talking through the common channels, someone would be able to respond, but I couldn't hear anything. Oh no. Ooh, that rock saved me. I was sinking and then that rock was like, whoo, it shoved me right back up. Almost got stuck there. Alright, so this road here also has its fair share of problems. This right here, this little dip, is a culvert pipe that is clearly not working, and it's not frozen based on this area. The road's been getting nice and warm in the sun. We're going to put up a couple of blue colored ribbons because this pipe is not working. Hold the phone. This one's not clogged. The grader actually pushed it in. So we're gonna pull over. There's no traffic on these roads, so we don't need to leave the truck running to use strobe lights or anything. We're just gonna pull over here. Could be soft. Yeah, we got an unclogging here today. This will be featured in an upcoming video. Let's go ahead and do this. We don't need to mark it. I feel like it's gonna function fine. This is gonna be quick, but very eventful, I bet. So I just showed you the clip of us finding this, and I was coming out to put up a blue ribbon because 90% of the plastic pipes you stop at when you see a divot in the road like that, it's usually collapsed. They're soft material. The roads are soft. Super heavy trucks, frost heaves, path of least resistance is usually into the pipe. So we're gonna put camera number 2 here. I think this is gonna be a nice short video, but very eventful. Look at the grass is even starting to turn green. All this water grass. It's a nice warm day. It's about 55 degrees, 15 degrees Celsius. Very nice day. So I got camera number 2 here with me. We're gonna go ahead and set it up. All right. Here we go. Camera number 2 is on. I always make a high-pitched noise for camera alignment. The reason I do that is because a high-pitched noise carries further, but we're right next to camera 2 there. But sometimes I'll do the noise up and over a 20-foot road or 20 feet of elevation road. And at that point, that's when you really need a high-pitched noise to carry far. Okay, here we are. I was just down in here and I feel like it's gonna be an easy one, but eventful. There we go. I believe this is what's causing that side road to be soft. All this water built up. Can't wait to look at the footage of camera number 2. That rock going through it. Not a very big area. This isn't going to flow for long. I'll use my feet to get down the rest of this a little bit. But that's 100% open. I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. That was fun. We're gonna send a missile through. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna follow that to the other side. Woo! Kaboom! That was awesome! Wow! Good thing camera number 2 didn't get knocked over. That That was awesome. Yeah, this pipe has nothing wrong with it. If things like that can get sent through. Before we lose water pressure, let's send through one more cool big rock. I'm gonna run over and meet it. Kaboom! There it is! Kaboom! There it is! That was nice! Look at that water pressure! Woo! Oh, I haven't had a fun one like this in a while. This is gonna drain pretty fast. I'll let you keep watching it for maybe another 5 minutes. Should take care of the majority of it. Notice how it wasn't going over the road when we started. Wasn't really much coming out of the pipe either. There's barely anything supplying this, but deep under, I bet the ground is still frozen, keeping it in. That's why the road is so muddy. It can't drain underground. Deep under is still frozen. That's what makes mud season. Mud season's caused by that. I'm gonna go put the rake away. Take the big high boots off. And I'll leave you guys to watch this thing drain for a little bit. Another one. I'm going to leave the boots on until the sun goes down. Still got 4 hours of daylight today. Well, that pipe was a bit underwater when we started. Now it's a third of it's open. And for anyone that's going to criticize me throwing items through there, if the item in there gets stuck, it means the pipe is going to fail. If it gets stuck, it means it would get stuck by debris naturally that goes through it anyways. The only way it would get stuck is it's typically at the joint. If this is a continuous pipe, which I think it's probably continuous, the company orders ones that are pretty long. But if you have to joint it in the middle, that's the weakest spot if a truck runs that over. If a truck runs it over, it can kink it a little bit, creating lips that debris will get stuck on, and also can cause erosion and sinkholes in that middle part. If that occurs, the pipe is flagged and replaced. But I'm actually surprised in such a wet area that this pipe did not completely just get destroyed by frost heaving. The water in the road expands. Water expands as it freezes, and it will usually go up, making frost heaves. It'll make ripples in the road, very bumpy. But path of least resistance is sometimes through the culvert pipe, because it's soft plastic with available space. Well, we already dropped it down about halfway. The water's still loud coming out the other side. I'll let the clock on the camera go for a little bit longer. This will look really cool to time lapse it at the very end. I even see some moose tracks in the mud of this. Yeah, this was the grader. It's not a very noticeable pipe, and this was probably graded in the summertime when the water grass was tall, and the scraggly things you see here are berry bushes. The operator probably didn't see it, but when they do that, they really should have someone coming around cleaning up the drainage ditches and checking on this stuff. But it's excusable. I see how this thing was barely noticeable. I wouldn't have been able to find it if it wasn't for the dip in the road, which basically told me exactly where it is. And the water, I'm sure, is coming out crystal clear on the other side. Let's give it a little burst of coffee water. I just like watching things like that on camera number 2. And now, give it like 10 seconds, it'll be flowing clean over on camera number 2. So much fun. Now at this point I wouldn't try to send a big rock through it because the pressure's going down. It probably still does have enough pressure. It's a smooth pipe in good shape, but yeah, we're slowing down. Yeah, we're looking really good. Let's do a few before and afters while we're here. This is obviously not max flow, but here's what it looked like during max flow from the camera number 2 angle. And here's what it looks like now. And here's what it looks like before we did anything. And here's what it looks like now. Yeah, that's just satisfaction, seeing everything turn coffee color, clear back up. That's gonna look really cool during a time lapse. These ones here are the most fun. This is the most fun part of my job, these type of culverts. I like going around inspecting and just flagging, but sometimes you come up to one of those beaver dams that's in the center of a 3-foot pipe. I don't have to do them, but I do them. And those ones are the back-breaking ones. You gotta be crouched in there in a 3-foot pipe, completely bent over for sometimes a half an hour at a time. Those are not the fun ones. These are the fun ones. You can open it up in like a minute and just sit around for a half an hour watching it. It's fun. Now we're down to probably the final last third of the water. I'm doing good. Step away for a minute. I like these. Tasting a little bitter though, because I just brushed my teeth about 20 minutes ago. Got to keep up hygiene even when you're living in the truck for a week, out in the wilderness, doing logging road inspections. The moose like doing that too. There's a lot of their tracks in there. Now we're down to like the last quarter of the water. Now it looks like we're both down to our last fifth. I'm all done. Well, this became quickly my favorite one of 2025. So far in 2025, we had one road that had 3 severely clogged ones. We got 2 of them open. When we opened it, it threw muddy water all over the top of white snow. That one was pretty cool, but this one was more fun. That one was kind of a pain in the butt to get open. Then we had another pretty big one in the sugar farm. It's an area of hundreds of thousands of acres of forest in Maine where they collect maple syrup. That's all it is. It's all it's used for, no logging. Well, mixed use. They don't cut down the maple trees, obviously. We found a double culvert. Each one was 3 feet, had a giant beaver dam in each one. We got it open fairly quick, but it was a back-breaking one, it being so short. Then a day ago we found a decent one. Found a decent one a day ago. It was a 4-foot pipe, which is a lot better to work in than a 3-foot one. Removed it in 10 minutes. It was probably occupying maybe a quarter or a third of the pipe's diameter, but just that little bit of blockage was causing it to back up and cause further issues down the road, because those bigger pipes, they oftentimes put them in where they literally can never hit capacity, and that's because they want the road to wash out somewhere else so they don't have to replace the pipe. Okay, we're down now. Pretty good. You're gonna see that stick maybe come out on the other side if we can see good enough. But I think we're good right now. I think we're gonna head on out. Or I do kind of want to see this start to dry up a little bit in there. Maybe we'll wait around a little longer. Maybe we can play with the pipe a little more. And I'm not littering. I'm actually going to pick this up and throw it in my truck. I'm going to get it from the other side. Got it. Ooh, look at that. Without me even doing anything, it's no longer coffee colored. Now it's dark brown looking in there. Well, black coffee colored. So right now what it's doing is it's eroding silt. That's more like a sandy stuff that I was stirring up. But now it's eroding from back in there, all kinds of muck. Oh yeah, the swamp actually goes up in there quite a bit, and that's starting to drain out now. That's why the water just suddenly turned a different color. So actually, I don't think it's gonna drop anymore. I think this is as low as the water level is going to get. Yeah, it started turning murky again. It's probably still dropping slightly, but we're almost matching what's coming in and what's leaving. Now that's not being fed from somewhere. That's just draining a bigger area back there, which, oh, who knows how big that is. I just noticed that. There could be swamp. It looks like there's a clearing back there. We could be draining some more stuff back there. But that's all right. It has basically calmed down now. Let's go collect camera number 2, which I'm pretty lucky didn't get knocked over. Camera number 2 off. Now that new dark water that's coming from back there, now that stuff is starting to stink. It's getting kind of stinky out here. Just gotta clean off the tripod a little bit in that water. Yeah, that's a little bit stinky what's coming from deep in the swamp. Moose like to hang out in these, so there's lots of poo mixed in usually. Wow, it's dropping even more. We're starting to see bottom a little bit. I'd much rather get some of these unblockings done before frog season. Frog season already started at my house. Up here, it's probably going to start this week at some point. And I just feel terrible when I have to drain these and there's tadpoles in there. Sometimes I'll just mark them and let someone else do it and just hope they don't get around to it until the end of the summer. So at least there's no frogs around yet. I hate draining pools on the side of the road. That's kind of why I raise frogs at my house. They're eggs I've collected from drainage ditches and brought home to my own ponds. And I didn't bring them home from places like this. I brought them home from literally the highway behind the house. So we're only moving them maybe half a mile, because you're not supposed to move wildlife super far because there's diseases going around that harm frogs in recent years. We're not moving them far. We're just moving them within their own hopping distance. Frogs will travel actually pretty far during rainstorms when everything's wet. All right, we're done. Camera number 2 is on. All right, everyone. That, we opened it in literally a minute. Gearing up took longer than it took to open that. Waited around 20 minutes so I can make time lapses of it draining. That's as much as it's gonna drain because it's being fed by a bigger swamp. So there's no water like currently feeding it. What I mean by that is there's spots that you're not seeing from the road that are still draining, but it's not being fed because there wasn't any extended flooding anywhere. So now we're going to continue down this road. This might actually be a contributor of it. That's a beaver dam right there. Oh my gosh, look at this. Look what's only... Wow, that is a massive beaver lodge. I can't believe beavers didn't clog that black pipe, which is literally right there. Look at the road. It's right there where we just unclog. So this is what's slowly trickling down and probably feeding that. Wow, look at their pantry. They have a lot of stuff in there from the winter that they were eating. Look at all the stuff floating up from the surface. In the spring, why is everything floating up from the surface? Because a beaver will store everything in the winter so they don't have to come up. They don't have to leave their pond ever. They'll cut down a bunch of trees, jam them in the mud at the bottom. It freezes over. When they're hungry, they come out of their lodge, swim underneath the ice, grab a stick, bring it back up. When they're done chewing off the bark, which is their food, they'll bring it back down under the ice, just leave it somewhere, and they'll grab another one. That's why you find it floating everywhere. And then in the spring, they'll use all those sticks to reinforce their dam once the surface of the water completely thaws. So early spring beaver dams are usually built with a lot of sticks that don't have any bark on them because it's from their over the winter. Then it'll be a mix throughout the summer because they're building faster than they can eat. Now this road right here, let's try to make the camera a little bit more quiet. There we go. This road's a little bit bumpy and there's some bad spots coming up. Lots of culverts I'm going to get out and mark. Sometimes you get out and mark something and you have a surprise like that. We don't stop at every culvert because that's really not feasible. In this video, we probably drove over 100 pipes. There's more of them than you're thinking underneath the road. There's a lot of them. You probably won't see a vehicle in this whole video. We're gonna go buy a logging site up here. But they've done what they can. They're stockpiling everything against the road. They're just waiting for the trucks, which would get stuck out here in these conditions. Mud season is expected to last into June, especially the areas that still have snow into June. Some of the roads that don't have snow around May. But the growing season up here altogether is June 15th. It can still potentially snow in June. Usually doesn't, always does in May. Last year was a cold May. This year is expected to be an earlier spring, so probably a warmer May. Only one more week about of April. And look at all these dips in the road. You see how it's all messed up? These are frost heaves. The frost is causing all these ripples and bumps. And as a frost heave is melting, it can create like a quicksand hole slightly below the surface that you have no way of detecting it. Sometimes there's signs. There could be water leaking out of the road. There's sometimes signs, but other times you have no idea. You just sink and you're stuck. And if your muffler is underwater, if your exhaust pipe is underwater, I should say, don't shut the vehicle off. One time I had to idle out here 19 hours with my old car because it didn't have a winch. If I would have shut the car off, mud would have gone into the tailpipe, into the muffler, and it would have hardened in there. You never would have started it again until it got towed. Everything would have to be taken apart, cleaned, maybe replaced. Because it was bubbling. It was underneath the mud. But I've never had this truck stuck to that extent. It's an off-road vehicle, and I guess they thought that through. The tailpipe is higher than the undercarriage. The bumpers are higher than the undercarriage. It's made for off-road. So you'll bottom out on the skid plates before anything crucial like the exhaust or anything even gets close to the bottom. So that's good. Look at all these rolling hills and frost heaves. Mountains are still snow. I like when it snows this time of year. It's very elevation depending. Every dip and every rise of the road will be back and forth. Rain, snow, sleet, rain, snow. I like that. It's fun to drive in. Today. It is red moose poop season because they're eating all the buds on the maple trees. At my house, we shut off operations about a week ago of maple syrup. So I got 4 successful batches, made about 24 jars of syrup. Some of them very liquidy, some of them I made thick like molasses. There's a reason they sell maple syrup pretty thick, pretty thin in the store. If it was thick, it would start solidifying quickly like honey, which I discovered. Pancake syrup is always thicker because it's more desirable, but maple syrup can't be super thick because it does solidify into sugar pretty fast otherwise. But you can just run it through hot water and that'll soften it up again where it'll come out. But that stuff is rock hard. I was stabbing a knife into that stuff and I was having trouble getting some of the crystallized sugar out of the jar, but it's sure delicious to crunch like a hard candy. Yeah, so all my trees started slowing down, some dried up, and at that point I was tired of boiling it anyways because it's time consuming with a pot. Next time I'll get like an actual evaporating tray made for maple syrup. I saw one on Craigslist for $400. I couldn't afford it this year, but maybe I can find one next year. That'd be totally awesome to have like a good pan where you'd start a wood fire. Then you don't have to buy propane and stuff. And when you're done with it, you got that big pan, you just open up a valve and you pour it right into jars. It's a lot more simple. Then you wouldn't be stressed out about having to boil it all because it did get kind of stressful. I tapped more trees than I ever had before. And the last day I ended up walking away for a little too long and I burned the final batch. And at that point I was like, oh well, we've got some successful batches. We'll do one more good batch tomorrow morning, but I use Barkeeper's Friend. I use a drill with a steel brush. I just couldn't get that stuff off. I tried windshield fluid, which is acidic, could not get it off the bottom of the pan, so I gave up for the year. I poured the last maybe 15 gallons of sap into a trough so the deer could drink it. The deer love maple sap. Doesn't even have to be sugar. I noticed since I tapped 16 trees in the yard, there was an uptick of deer hanging out. Deer poop everywhere, which is a plus. It's fertilizer for the forest. But they destroyed some of my bushes at the same time. Yeah, they'll lick the trees and overflowing buckets if you don't get to them in time. I noticed out here, I mentioned massive maple sugar farms that are out here. So up here, the Maine Northwoods will have there's hundreds of thousands of acres that are nothing but maple syrup production. There's dozens of maple syrup farms, there's pumping stations, probably hundreds of pumping stations out here that pump everything back. This area, they can probably produce into June because the ground is still frozen. So once the ground thaws, the trees start drinking like crazy. You're going to get lots and lots of sap. But as soon as it starts becoming warmer, where it's not going below freezing at night, that is when the trees kind of shut off and they start prioritizing making leaves because they've already brought up all the sugar they needed into the branches. So yeah, up here their season is just starting while mine has ended. We're really far up in elevation and we're at the very top of the state. But I noticed out here there was herds of deer in those areas, and I guess it's because they're licking all the sap that's leaking out of the taps. Because when you tap a tree, the majority goes into the tube, but some of it will dribble down the side. There's really no way to stop that. And the deer like it. Maple sap tastes like sugar water. It's highly concentrated. I tried making birch syrup. That sap is not highly concentrated. You cannot taste it from paper or white birch. Now, yellow birch, right from the tree, it kind of tastes faintly like root beer. It's kind of good. But I noticed when you first tap it, it tastes delicious. But I guess the sugar kind of flushes itself out of the tree pretty quickly because it's not sugary a couple hours later when you go to taste it. So I gave up on production of even making that type of sap. So I guess any kind of birch tree can make it, but I'm gonna tell you it's not worth it. The end product kind of tastes like maple syrup. And birch has a 1 to 100, or some people say 1 to 120 ratio, while to make a gallon of maple syrup, you only need 40 gallons of sap. It's almost 3 times as difficult to make it. So, yeah. And I found out that when they make things like birch beer, birch soda, they add such a good flavor. They're actually, what they're doing is they're peeling bark off the tree and they're boiling it, and that's how they get the flavor. If you take a yellow birch tree, just peel some bark off it or cut off a little branch and lick it, it tastes really, really good. Okay, we have a culvert here that might be blocked. Nobody marked it. We're at the very least going to mark it. We're gonna find out if it's clogged or if it just needs a marking. Let me get the truck a little bit out of the road in case somebody happened to come by. We got another unclogging here. That's exciting. This was a very, very slow year. Pull over a little bit. It's not that soft. Yeah. We got another awesome one, I bet. It's going to be a big blast. I think this is going to be a quick but very eventful unclogging. We got a pool of water here built up. I got out ready to mark it as blocked. It is indeed blocked, but it's something we can handle without having to get road crews involved. So during the spring thaw, there was a blast. Look at all the erosion it caused here, going across the road And the ditch right here couldn't even handle it. So, as by design, it's pretty much working. The pipe is blocked, so it's overflowing the little embankment, going down to the next culvert, then crossing over, as it's designed to do. But I guess during a little bit of a spring thaw, I don't even think the pipe would have been able to handle what was coming down here. We have a nice, beautiful waterfall, and when we open this pipe up today, I bet some of this rock is going to want to erode. That does not cause blockages. What causes blockages is a stick getting stuck across it, blocked with leaves, then that stuff can build up. But some of that can probably start eroding. That's going to be a quick blockage. It's going to be very, very eventful. We're going to grab camera number 2 right now. We're going to go place it down here. I always hate to see when they replace a nice, durable metal one. That looks crumpled and worn out, but I bet you it lasted 30 years. A lot of these plastic ones can't even make it through the first winter. Half of them, indeed, can't make it through the first winter. But that being said, some of them will last a bit longer. I'm a little concerned about where I want to put my camera, because I don't want it to get swept away. All right, everyone, camera number 2 is going. All right, and this is a perfect setup to do a nice split screen. This is gonna blast a lot. Let's get up out of here. Ooh, gotta get down on the knees a little bit to help myself up. And now, here we go. Wow, the suction is incredible! We got it open 100%! It's dragging over some debris. We gotta make sure everything passes. Nice! We loosen up some stuff up here. That could cause another blockage. Well, it's no longer going downstream to the next pipe. I bet that's gonna look like diarrhea when we push it through. Can't wait to see that on the other side. Get out of here. Well, we got it open. We did that preventative measure. But there's an endless amount of debris on that waterfall. So, big rainstorm, it's gonna clog it up again. And you can tell this is a permanent creek. Who thought it was a good idea to put a 18-inch pipe here? And I could tell by the erosion. There's no way, even if that wasn't clogged, would be able to handle this. There should be like a 3-foot pipe here. Ridiculous. Well, though, we're gonna go get the other camera, and that's kind of cool. Look at the little dam it just made. That was awesome. All right, I just gotta wash off a little bit. The water's cleaner on this side. I tried to do it over there, but then you got a bunch of crumbs, debris stuck to it. These are the most fun ones to do. Well, we successfully got that one unclogged. Took like a minute to get it unclogged, but then I spent another couple minutes preventative maintenance, getting rid of a little bit of debris that looks like it could easily get in, but that pipe's in perfect shape. It's just ridiculous that you can tell the amount of water that must have been coming out of that stream. Look at all the damage it caused to the road. That stream right there, it doesn't have any unusual erosion or anything to it. This is normal for that stream, but yet they put a tiny pipe when it should probably have a 3-footer. And this is where everything is getting diverted. And this is a metal pipe. And it has 0 damage to it despite the mud, but we do have to put a ribbon up here because that's a pretty big divot in the road, which someone could get hurt on in the middle of the night if they don't see it. Not only is that a water concern, it's also a safety concern, so we got to put up yellow. So what I discovered when I went out there was more than just a divot. There's a sinkhole over on the other side. The pipe is in perfect shape. It's just the compaction was bad, so water's able to get underneath the pipe. It's not rusted out. So I added that over there because somebody, if they run over there in that soft ground, they're going to go into the sinkhole. They could get stuck. They could break a ball joint. Something if they're going a high rate of speed. Some people, including myself, do go very fast on these roads because you see they'll be smooth for a while, then you hit a bump. Look at the log. A log truck must have hit that. You see, if they had a warning like those ribbons, they may have gone over it more slow and not lost that log. Don't ever follow log trucks super close for that very reason right there. Oh. Okay, this one's not a safety concern, but it's a failure. It's not a clog, it's a definite failure. We got to put up a blue ribbon there. If there's a small branch, I always put it on a small branch. Then you only have to tie it once and it doesn't come off. So I look through it, you can't see daylight. It's crushed and the frost heave lifted up the entrance of it. That one's pretty messed up. But no one else had marked it yet. In these areas, stay away from the drainage ditch. It's very soft. You want to stay in the center of the road and use extreme caution if you have to let someone pass where you're going to park. It's definitely not a clog. Is it a failure? I'm not sure. But this one could call for yellow again. It's a danger, and that pipe is collapsed despite allowing a little bit of water to work. It's still functioning, but it's crushed. See this bump? Log truck hits that, logs are gonna fall off it. And you see there's a log up here in the middle of the road? That may have been a contributing factor. See those? I don't think it was this little bump. I think that culvert is what caused those logs to fall off. Ooh, we don't get a break today, do we? And got another one. It's lifted up by frost on the entrance. This is a bad road. This is a mountainous road where the sun don't shine, so you got a lot more issues like this, and I think we should put yellow here too. Okay, did it. Yellow means it's a road hazard. Blue means it failed the culverts inspection. Okay, what else are we gonna find down here today? Go slow because there's gonna be one here. That one's open, very deep. Too deep for it to probably have frost damage. Ooh. Okay. Before I even get out, I bet this one's gonna be okay because it's metal, but it's a road hazard. All right, stomp some mud off my boots, even though the floor looks like a pig pen. All right, that one passes inspection because it's metal basically. It is clear all the way through, a little bit crumpled on the end from being cleaned by an excavator, but it still has about 80% of its usage. What else are we gonna find on this very eventful road? You see the tire cap that we just drove by? When semi-tires get bald, they'll basically put glue over it and they'll put a new tread. Some states have banned that, and I can see why, because if that falls off on the highway, it could cause an accident. But out here, who cares? They go through tires so fast on these horrible roads. And they do get picked up if the park rangers can see them. All right, this one's buried very deep. You see they built it up with lots of fill. Oftentimes you can't dig it deep because of bedrock. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna get out and mark this one, but anyone should realize what that is. You see how it's kind of, the road is kind of falling apart. It's like slipping because of severe erosion. The grader will get that probably next month. I think that's a bit obvious. Some more erosion up and around here. More erosion here. Next time I get out. Ooh. And another tire cap up there. Yep, the next time I get out, I'm gonna get out here. We gotta mark this one too. This is a hazard. Especially at night if there's log trucks coming through here. They can't see stuff like this. Yeah, first I need to stop that rattling noise. That is a CB radio. Oh yeah, it is. I just couldn't find it. It moved on my shelf. It's also metal. It's in good shape despite the road. See? The metal ones can take frost heaving without damage. Tire cap. Sometimes all it takes are some big bumps and that'll cause a tire cap to fall off. Here's another pipe. It's good. Here's another pipe. It's good. If I don't see built up water, if I don't see a huge dip in the road or something to give me a reason to believe it's failed, then it's good. This is the time of year you do culvert inspections because you can't do it in the fall because you have a bunch of grass. Even if it's dead, it's standing tall. This time of year, the grass is all pushed over. You can see stuff very clearly. Here's more logs. They fall off the trucks at bumps. What bump though? Were they already loose? I don't see a bump here, and trucks are only going in the direction I'm going. They come back empty. This is the way out. I drove this road in this morning. I didn't mark any of this stuff. I'm marking it on the way out. The trucks aren't using this road again until June. The conditions are just too soft. Yeah, we gotta mark this one. This is the first one in this video I'm having to mark. We had a few earlier though. When you got water like this, there's a reason we have to mark it. Even when this dries up, it could still be wet below the surface and you could get stuck. This problem is going to clear up by itself. It's a plastic pipe. It's down deep enough. I think it's in good shape. At first I was looking at, you see how it looks like a little bit of a landslide over on the left? I was thinking maybe it got buried, but no. The end of the pipe has a frozen waterfall coming out of it. So the ground is frozen around the pipe, including the water in the pipe. So give that another couple weeks of warm weather. Once a little trickle of water starts going through that pipe, it's going to quickly erode itself within an hour or something. So yeah, it's just frozen pipe, but it's in good shape. Here's another dip in the road. Somebody marked it. I guess that's good enough. It's not the worst one. And it's a metal one, so I don't expect there to be an issue with it. The metal ones take like 30 years to fail, and it's usually from rusting out. The bottom of the pipe will rust out, and when that happens, water flowing through it will suck in any ground around it, causing sinkholes. Out here with no road salt, they can even last maybe 50 years. 30 years is average, including the road salt. Okay, somebody marked something. It's a little dip in the road. Someone also put blue there, so there's probably an issue here. Out here, you can use the yellow, you can use orange, you can use pink. I like pink and orange better. I'm just trying to get rid of this yellow stuff, and I'm never getting it again. I only have it because it was discounted at the end of hunting season, and I want it gone, so I'm going through it intentionally, quickly, to get rid of it, so I can switch back to the colors I like better, and that you can see better without having to put so much of it. Out here, sometimes you see them using green. Green I don't like using. Green I feel like should be something for an inspection on a road where it gives it like the thumbs up, nothing's wrong. That's not what it means out here, but if you're in the city, if you see any paint on a sidewalk or the road, green would be sewer, yellow would be gas, blue is water. Out here, there's nothing like that, so look at these logs. I'm not really gonna go ahead and mark every single frost heave, but that's what caused these trucks to lose those logs, the logs. There's another tire cap. I'm stopping. I want to get that tire cap because this one's not next to the road. When the trees grow their leaves, they're not going to see it. If it's out by the road, the rangers will pick it up because they don't want to see that. They don't want the tourists that come out here to have to see things like that. But if it stays there, it'll be there forever. The rangers are around in the winter, but not really. They only patrol in the summer because they want to make sure people are not fishing, not hunting without their licenses, and also just to keep an eye on people because people do get stuck out here. One time I found one of those in a swamp. I don't know if it just rolled through the woods or if it got lost out there a long time ago, but those are fun to roll around like a tank track when I had to roll it back up to the road. See, there's frost heaves here. That's why the hood is bouncing up and down. But I can't really mark every single one, and at this point, anyone who's here should be fully aware of their existence. We're just marking things that are extremely abrupt. There's another tire. That's an entire tire. Oh, they ripped the sidewall on a brand new tire is what I'm seeing. And it's dented. That's why they left it there. The whole thing, they just abandoned it. I wish I had space. I would love to take that dented rim, because that's a steel one. You can make a nice fire pit out of that. Those are big. I found an aluminum one on the side of the road with a pile of free stuff about a month back, and you can't use aluminum. That's going to melt in your campfire if you tried that. Look how much snow is still up there on that hill. Just a little bit of elevation. It can't be more than a couple 100 feet. Here's a beaver swamp. Look how the snowplow just... it scores the sides of all the trees. They're not logging. There's not going to be a semi going by, so we can be here for a moment. I want to get out and look. I brought the blue ribbon just in case. There's a big plastic one. The water's crystal clear. Looks like a nice spot to jump in if it was warm. Obvious signs of lots of beaver uncloggings. I feel like I've done one here before. Oh. I have. That pipe is the reason I stopped. I didn't even notice the big one until I got out. They must have just installed this. Notice how there's no trees here. They just excavated it. And it looks like something we should keep an eye on. It looks like beavers are being a menace at this spot. Wow, look how thick. It's still 2 feet thick, the ice over in this area. I guess because there's no current. Well, this one looks like it's semi-clogged. This is a little bit of a beaver dam foundation. Maybe we can kick some of that out. Oh, look, the pipe is already collapsing and it's less than a year old. You know how much these bigger pipes like this cost? Should have went with metal. It would be here 30 years, not 1 year. Okay, we kicked some of that out. That's gonna stay on our radar. Now I wanna look at the one I actually stopped to look at, but that's good to know that's there, because I've unclogged this one and it's been a pain in the butt. It's tiny. Whew. It's got quite the blockage on it and a sinkhole forming. We gotta mark it regardless because of the sinkhole. But can we open it? I'm just trying to see how deep they did it. Look in there. Oh wow. There's debris, I believe, going halfway through. Well, let's look in the other end. It's too small. We can't fit in there, so we literally wouldn't be able to do anything about this. I think it's a 2-footer. 3-footer is like the smallest one I'll work in. I've been through 2.5-foot ones, but I've crawled through them. You can't work in them. There's a bit of an ice dam here, look. I'm trying to get down because I'm afraid to step right here. I feel like I'm gonna cave in. Oh yeah. It's clogged halfway through. Not to mention if we opened it, the debris would just get stuck against the ice. Okay. We're gonna mark it though, because there's serious problems. All right, good. Let's get back on the road. All right, we're gonna continue on our way. Looks like we got 5 miles left to the main artery, which is in much, much better condition. This is a main artery, but seasonal main artery. They've obviously been plowing it, working on parts of it, but it doesn't go all the way through. Lots of bumps here. Let's see what else we could find out here. mark that one. The dip's not horrible. There's like a whole river valley next to us that I'm noticing. These roads like this after spring thaws typically have lots of blockages, not by beavers. The terrain is too rough on most of this road for beavers. They want a big pond, not a tiny little deep pond. Okay, we're gonna have to clearly get out right here. So, there's a culvert underneath me right now. That might need to be marked, but we're gonna see. At the very least, it needs a few ribbons. Amazingly, the plastic pipe is in good shape. We just had to mark this in case it's not noticeable later in the year, or when it slightly gets below the surface but is still a sinking hazard. That ditch there needs to be dug out a bit. What are these markings? They might be culverts. I'm not quite sure why. I see more of an issue with that right there. Right here's another spot you could potentially sink if you're too far over. Here's another culvert. I'm not quite sure if they're just marking those as an inspection, or because I don't see anything wrong with the ones they're marking. All right, now we're coming into the active area where they've been doing a lot of logging over the winter. So back there, beyond there, they weren't really doing much plowing. There's someone that lives down there at a logging camp, but that's about it. Okay, we need to flag this myself. Okay, back up a little bit. And I'm gonna take a look at that pipe behind me because I wanna know why they're flagging that. I don't know why they're flagging that stuff. Okay, let's take a look. People ask why I don't shut the truck off. It's unnecessary wear and tear, so if I'm not out for more than 5 minutes, I don't shut it off. It's a lot of wear and tear on the starter for this type of work I do. Okay, they have it flagged as water hazard and road hazard. It's obviously not a road hazard. We get down, it's a metal pipe. The bottom's not rusted out. It's got clearance all the way through it, and just as I suspected, why are they flagging these for no reason? I don't know. Is it just some type of inspection? I don't know why that's being flagged. Couldn't tell you. But it's really recent. The only thing I could maybe think was, and this is actually probably what it is, I bet you it was frozen like that one I found up there not too long ago. I bet it was frozen and it melted out, and now that's why I'm baffled, because it literally disappeared, the issue. Okay, going again. I want to stay away from that water because you could sink into that in some of these areas. Hear that weird squeaking noise? That is the dashboard doing that. Can't do anything about that. So all these culverts are marked, but they're flowing, they're not failed. I see this water here and I don't know if it's just overwhelmed. I do have to get back out and take a look at that pipe. And I also need to get back out up there at the end of the flood and mark this in the other direction. So this one I see, it is marked for hazard. Maybe that one down there is only marked for hazard as an early warning to the flood. Could be. You know, is this one actually collapsed? That one there is plastic and it doesn't seem collapsed, but it could be. I don't even see it. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, that one's definitely collapsed. There's no debris in front of it, and this type of pressure should have pushed anything out of it. So yeah, this one's bad. And it's not frozen because with that amount of water already going through it, it would have thawed that out within hours. Ooh, I am so surprised that you're not afraid of me. It's a grouse bird. They're not the smartest bird. They're always in the road. And it's doing its mating ritual right there. See its dance? Yeah, I see those a lot out here. Okay, what about this next one? Wide open, it's plastic, and because it's so waterlogged, I bet you the frost crushed it. So yeah, these ones are definitely marked for a reason, but that metal one up there, I gotta say that probably was frozen. I had to get another look at this. When you're out in the logging wilderness, you'll usually see a buffer zone next to waterways. It looks like they marked the waterway with the ribbons, but out here you're supposed to stay away from streams 75 feet, or in some areas 200 feet from wetlands. But I guess this is considered drainage and it's not considered an actual stream. Maybe it dries up. Maybe it's just a seasonal stream, which doesn't count as far as keeping your distance when logging. It might just be marked so they don't get stuck in it. All right, we gotta just move up here to the other end and mark this. Because those are collapsed, this issue is not gonna just go away. And I think we even just went over another culvert pipe that's not functioning. There's no tree to put it on the other side, but we will at least get one up. On these roads traveling, you always want to look at these ribbons because it can tell you about what could be coming up. Bottle keeps coming out of there. It's to hopefully not have it rattle as much because I haven't gotten around to gluing an actual permanent tripod on the dash. I want to do that. There's another one. That one's metal. So that one is probably in great shape. A lot more things are marked here. Here's another one they marked. This section is very, very smooth. We got up to speed there. And so do the trucks, and they hit a sudden bump and lose a log. That's what happens. Actually getting a lot better gas mileage out here than I do in the summer, because in the summer I'm driving a lot faster and speed eats fuel mileage. Having to go slow for these bumps actually is doing me good. I'm looking down, it says I'm only getting 9 mpg, but that's because I'm barely moving during this inspection. We have to stop so often, that's what's causing that. But overall, I can't believe I've only used a quarter tank in the past 3 days out here. It's because we're stopping so much. Got something here. All right. time lapse this section here. And I need another ribbon. I think I'm gonna run out. So the reason I'm not gonna, I was gonna mark the other side of that puddle, but it doesn't really have an end. It comes on abrupt on this side, but the other side, anyone coming in here, it'll be more easing into the mud hole. So that's why I'm not marking the other side. See what I mean? There's no drainage ditch anymore, so it's using this deep tractor trailer rut has now turned into the ditch. Yeah, some of these ruts are over 8 inches deep. This water goes all the way down to the bottom of the hill. That is already marked, and it's plastic. I can see it's already, it's very damaged. Right here, there's probably another one. That must be a huge one. That's handling quite the water. There's another one. Section of road, I don't think there was really many more issues. I think we're pretty good around here, so I'm actually going to pull over for a little bit, put this together, take a break, maybe have dinner, and later tonight I'll probably make a moose watching video, because by the time I'm done putting these videos together, it'll be dusk. It's now 4:45, but it doesn't get dark this time of year until around 8. 7 o'clock is probably the best time to go out and try to start looking for some moose. Yeah, I don't remember on the way in there being any more issues. I think the rest of the road is pretty good going back to the main artery. Nothing too severe. Just your typical potholes up here. That was a rock getting pushed up by the frost. There's another pipe. And I hope today's video was interesting, everyone. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. I did exactly what I said I shouldn't be doing. I just pulled over and I got stuck. Gotta pop the hood, we gotta hook up to the winch, go across the road. We're so stuck, the back wheel's almost off the ground. Now we gotta hope nobody comes while that's out, so I gotta get out in the road very fast with my fluorescent vest if I see a car coming. Okay, in. Putting tension on the cable I just put across the road. Into drive, 4-wheel. Let's see if we can help it a little bit. Yep, it's lifting us up. Nice, nice, nice. Don't spin the wheels. Just do this. And we are out. I would not have got out of that without help from someone if I didn't have this winch. See, it's a pain in the butt to set up and take down because it goes so slow, but oh, it got a lot of torque. Now I'm blocking the road until I clean this up. I wouldn't even be able to show you what I got stuck in because it's already filled in. The mud just filled right back in as soon as I got out, but that went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to. We were tipping a lot there. The driver's side rear wheel is off the ground. The front was in so deep. But we did good there. We got out nice. That winch has saved me tens of thousands of dollars in recovery. So they charge by the thousands if you have to have someone come out here to rescue you. Anytime I've ever been rescued out here, it's been by a good Samaritan, so I luckily didn't have to pay anything. I even offered them something, they didn't want it. But I also got to use caution when we do that, when we get very stuck like that. Now maybe here I'll be able to park, hopefully. When I get stuck like that, it can do things. Last time I went in for service, my mechanic told me to come back and take a look at this. The whole wheel was wobbling by inches side to side. And he was saying that you're missing this little cotter pin here, and it made a bolt fall out, and now this whole wheel's loose. It must have been from bottoming out somewhere or dragging with the winch. Pulled out a little cotter pin that made the whole wheel wobbly. That's why, despite there being state inspections for safety on a vehicle here, I probably have the mechanic perform that every other month. Loose nut and bolt check on all kinds of things that I can't do at home. For that very reason. I don't even know why I wanted to come up this road. I thought it was going to go for a bit, but you see that mud right there? It's just non-stop. And I don't want to do this anymore. I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck. I almost got stuck, but I drove really, really fast, and now I got to drive back through it again really, really fast so I don't get stuck. I don't want to break something by going too fast because there are rocks in that mud, but I got to keep a decent speed. Here we come. Try not to get stuck up here, but at least if we do, there's trees right in front of us to winch off of. Go, 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 go. Good thing we got skid plates. I could hear a bunch of rocks hitting the skid plates. We went through that pretty good.